The Godclone in the Heart, a linguistically critical approach to a provocative inner image, navigating between irritation, metaphor, models of consciousness, and the question, why must a term sometimes first unsettle us in order to open up new spaces? Why the word Godclone? Irritates. Some terms provoke resistance before they have even been understood. Godclone is such a term. It seems unwieldy, provocative, almost like a linguistic short circuit. This is because two semantic extremes collide here. God stands for origin, absoluteness, transcendence. Clone stands for replication, repetition, copy. The sacred meets the technical. The unique meets the duplicated. It is precisely this friction that creates the tension, and therein lies the power of the term. 2. Linguistic deconstruction. What does the term really mean? God not a possessive, not a dogma, but a cipher for origin, wholeness, creative potential. Clone not a copy in the banal sense, but the recurrence of the same basic structure in a new, individual form. Together, Godclone does not mean man is God, but rather, within man lies a part of the creative structure of origin. 3. Why the term sounds strange at first. Our thinking is trained to recognize familiar patterns. Anything that doesn't fit into familiar categories is instinctively rejected. Godclone breaks several taboos at once. It combines spirituality with biological imagery. It defies classical religious language. It calls for personal responsibility rather than external worship. It shifts the focus from the outside to the inside. That is precisely why it feels uncomfortable, but not dangerous. It is a thought-provoking concept, not a doctrine. 4. The alternative. The Gotti. Perhaps Gotti sounds softer, more organic, less technical. The image of the egg carries a different symbolism. Something is already fully formed, but has not yet hatched. When the egg breaks open from within, it is not a foreign being that emerges, but rather what was intended from the very beginning. In this interpretation, the human being does not become more than a human, but rather more of what they already are at their core. V. The phoenix in the heart. A psychological interpretation. The image of the phoenix rising from the hot core of the heart can be interpreted through depth psychology. When repressed inner potential becomes conscious, a new relationship with the self emerges. The ego recognizes it is not the source, but a tool. This is not self-deification. Rather, it is a process of maturation. The ego learns to be the bearer of a greater inner order. 6. A critical perspective. Danger and opportunity. The danger. Without reflection, any powerful metaphor can be misunderstood as a delusion of grandeur, religious exaggeration, or ideological narrative. The opportunity. With clear awareness, the same concept becomes an invitation. Do not believe blindly. Instead, examine, feel, explore. The value of the concept lies not in the word itself, but in the inner space of thought it opens up. 7. Bullseye. The bullseye is called the bullseye because it is the point where all paths converge at the center. The Godclone is not a dogma, not a claim, not a command. It is a key image for the possibility that there is more inherent in human beings than they have hitherto assumed about themselves. Do not seek outwardly. Do not conform out of fear. Instead, turn yourself once like a key, and the inner self begins to rotate. The Godclone in the Heart, a language-critical HTML edition, precision over pathos.